Hello everyone, Sam here, and this is an off-the-cuff video I'm doing. I don't have any notes for this video. I just kind of got a little inspiration to do this this afternoon because I got a fair amount of books that came in the mail today, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is way more. It wasn't that I ordered all these things at the same time, it was just they all happened to come today. So some of them I was expecting at the same time because they were Amazon, but others were ones I had made orders for months ago and just so happened to come today. But I kind of thought about it and I said, well, since I got all these books on the same day, why not do a haul video? I don't think this technically qualifies as a haul in BookTube parlance because I didn't go out and buy them all at the same time, but they all came to me on the same day, and they all arrived by the post office, so they all technically came to me at the same time. So I'm gonna use that loose interpretation of a haul for this one. So yeah, this is going to be probably one of the few haul videos I do. I know some booktubers do haul videos fairly regularly. I'm really not because I have, as you can see behind me, a lot of books already. So I only buy them when I'm doing something event related or I just really find a book I really want to read. But yeah, so this will probably be one of my few haul videos, and we'll see how it goes. The first item I wanted to bring up is not one I got today. I actually got this last week, and you have seen it if you looked at the thumbnail for this video. And that is that box you see on the left-hand side of the thumbnail. That was taken in my garage because that's where I've put that box. And that box has a Yoos bookshelf. If you've been on Facebook, you've probably seen their advertisements. It's this bookshelf that's kind of a spinner rack too. You can like spin the bookshelf around to get different books from different parts of the shelf. And I was interested in that simply because I have a fair amount of books behind me, and one of the problems I have is storage. So I kind of figured, oh, well, if I can get a bookshelf that takes a fair amount of books. The Yoos claimed it could take like 300 books. I was like, I think that's 300 books if they're the exact same size. Maybe 300 mass market paperbacks, but I'll put it together here in the coming days and see if it fits my needs. If it does, great. If it doesn't, I'll send it back. I'll probably do a video about that. I figure I'll do what I call a bookshelf review. Talk about my impressions of a Yoos bookshelf. And since it's related to books, it's fine for a BookTube channel. So you can expect that probably within a week or two. So that'll be interesting to do. But now I'm going to get to the actual books. Well, mostly. You'll see what I mean in a second. These are all the books that came in today. And I'm going to talk about them in a little bit. And some of them are, a lot of them are ones that came from Amazon, but a couple of them are from a Kickstarter campaign that I'll mention in a minute. But first thing I want to bring up is not a book, but actually a movie, Psycho. A lot of you probably already know Psycho. This is the Blu-ray edition. Supposedly this one features the uncut version of Psycho. Apparently that was the version that was originally shown in theaters in 1960. Apparently the one that's been on the marketplace for several decades has not been the full version. So I got this because one of the books here ties into it. So yeah, Psycho. I don't really need to explain Psycho because even if you have never seen Psycho, you know what Psycho is. So we won't worry about that. And this was the reason I bought Psycho with this Amazon batch, because this novel recently came out called Marion by Leah Rowan. If you saw my video about the Pandy Pack, when I mentioned I was doing that, when I did that unboxing video of the Pandy Pack that had some specialty books in it, I mentioned that this book was coming up in the next Pandy Pack, and I wasn't that big of a fan of it. I was like, that's not terribly interesting to me. I'm gonna just drop it and not pay much attention to it. But the more I kind of thought about it, the more I went, well, you know what? Maybe this concept could go somewhere. And I also I partially got it because there's another reading challenge coming up that I'm going to be doing. And one of them I had to deal with a recent release. And, well, this one recently released, so that qualifies. And, you know, I like the movie Psycho. I've actually seen all of the Psycho movies, Psycho 1 through 4. Never saw that remake with, by who was it, Gus Van Sant. That didn't seem all that interesting. But I have seen all the original Psycho movies with Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates. So I do have an interest in Psycho as a franchise, and this is interesting because I don't think it's technically official Psycho media. I'm pretty sure this is a I guess you could call it a what's the exact term, like a pastiche or something, because as I understand it, this isn't officially tied with Robert Bloch's original novel. Yeah, I mean, on the copyright page, it does not mention Psycho by Robert Bloch, the original novel, or Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. So this, I forget. Pardon me, I haven't explained what it is. Essentially, this is the idea of this is what happens if you all know, even if you don't never seen Psycho, you know the big twist of Psycho, which is that the main girl Marion is taken care of by Norman Bates at one point in the film. And this is basically a what-if scenario. What would happen if Marion actually outfought Norman? And what would happen if the roles were reversed, if Marion killed Norman instead of the other way around? Again, sort of unofficially, because this isn't approved by Robert Bloch's estate or connected to Hitchcock in any way. So, like I said, initially I was kind of hesitant about this idea because I like Psycho. And, you know, doing a story like this that really turns the story on its head, I'm kind of like, that just didn't appeal to me initially. But the more I thought, I go, okay, I'll give it a chance, see if it pans out. But I have a suspicion it won't. But you know, we'll see where it goes, and I'll be talking about this a little more in depth later this week. The second haul I got is this book that somebody told me about called Back to the Moon by Howard Hickam Jr. Hickam apparently had written the October Sky. I haven't read the book. I've seen the movie, though. But the whole thing about this, I'm part of a group called the Pulp Era Amateur Press Society, and somebody in the group, pardon me for I'm sorry to whoever this was, but I don't remember their name. Uh, but somebody on the group had mentioned this book, Back to the Moon, and the whole idea of it is that a man hijacks the space shuttle and somehow and is going to the moon with it, but he accidentally gets brings a stowaway along with him, and then the U.S. government starts chasing after him, and just a bunch of hijinks ensue. So I was kind of like, okay, that's kind of an interesting idea for a novel. I've been told that this one has a bit of a goofy tone to it, but yeah, this will be pretty interesting to read. And this was also one I got for the reading challenge that I keep mentioning, because this was one that was there was a qualification for a book. It had to be like a first time exposure or recommended by somebody you knew, and this was, so I'll definitely check this out. This one's a bit of a goofy one. To those who are paying attention, you know that I did a video on one of the Fu Manchu stories recently. This one is apropos to bring up after that, because it is Sex Slaves of the Dragon Tongue by F. Paul Wilson. And this is a supposedly it's a batch of, I believe it's 3 stories. And F. Paul Wilson wrote this as kind of his tribute to the Yellow Peril fiction that Fu Manchu was often the face of. And Paul Wilson, I've heard his name thrown around a bit. On the bottom here it says he is the creator of the Repairman Jack series, which I haven't heard of, but I've heard people mention F. Paul Wilson's name before. And on the back here, they mention that Repairman Jack is, quote, a shadow-like figure himself, as in the Shadow. So this kind of caught my interest because, well, obviously with a title like that, that's kind of like, whoa, that's got to catch anybody's eye. But I was kind of interested in this idea of somebody doing a modern version, or maybe not even a modern version, a nod to Yellow Peril fiction. Because F. Paul Wilson makes no bones about it that, yeah, this is something that is somewhat politically incorrect by today's standards. So I'm kind of interested in this idea of somebody taking a genre of fiction that is kind of poo-pooed today for due to changing societal values, and trying to sort of do a version of it in their own right. So that'll be kind of interesting. This next one is a publication that I've been reading a lot the last few years. And I've somewhat gotten a love-hate relationship with, because I love them because of the depth of their articles, but I hate them because they keep making me want to get more books that they talk about. And this is, of course, the Bare Bones magazine. This is the spring 2026 issue. And I got this one. The front cover, it shows a poster to some schlocky sci-fi film called The Brain Eaters. Never heard of it before, but that's interesting. And one of the main reasons I got this is that it's hard to see on this cover, but right there it mentions Dr. Death. And Dr. Death was one of the pulp villains I was really hoping to focus on in the coming weeks. So that's what interested me about getting this one. I say interested, I was probably going to get this anyway because I usually get bare bones. But, yeah, on the back it mentions a lot of other properties that I was like, oh yeah, I know that. One is Dangerous Assignment with Brian Donlevy. I actually listened to a lot of the Dangerous Assignment radio shows, and I saw a couple of the TV episodes that Donlevy made. There's a whole story behind that, but yeah, I was aware of that, so that was kind of cool to see here. Also mentioned, there was another one here. There's one that's talks with an American actor who was the star in a lot of Filipino-American films. For those that don't know, there was this period from like the 60s to the 80s where a lot of American films were made in the Philippines because they had like tax incentives, and film studios could shoot in the Philippines for the cheap, which was great if you needed like a tropical jungle setting. So apparently this talks a little about that with one of the stars of those films. Let's see, his name is Ken Metcalf. So, yeah, this looks to be an interesting issue. I'll be happy to do it. I mentioned earlier, one of my videos a little while ago, that I was probably going to start a politically a series devoted to politically controversial books. This probably won't be the first one on it, but it might pop up. And this was something called Suicidal Empathy, Dying to Be Kind, by this guy, Gad Sad, which kind of sounds like a made-up name, but apparently that's his real name. And this is just... this is a book that's apparently criticizing some of, I guess what you could call like empathy culture or something. Like the idea of, the whole idea being that empathy can be kind of toxic in certain circumstances. I only got this one because I heard about it from my dad. And again, this was also one I got for that reading challenge that I'm being vague about. You'll hear about it in the near future. But I had to fill a requirement for a book that was a bestseller. And this one happened to be a bestseller on Amazon on the day I looked it up. So I was like, okay, this counts. So I'm going to get it. We'll see how this pans out. But yeah, so I guess you could expect that sometime in the next few months. So those were all the things I got from Amazon. This next one was one that I got from eBay. It happened to come today. And it is, you hear that crinkling? It's because it's still in plastic. Robert E. Heinlein, Outward Bound. Outward Bound is not the name of the story. That's just the name of this collection. And what this is that this is the collection of 3 of Robert Heinlein's stories. What it was, I have to reach over here. It was part of a series of reprints that Heinlein's estate allowed. And this was the one that preceded Outward Bound, Four Frontiers. I had this. And these books were meant to reprint Heinlein's juveniles. For those that don't know, Robert Heinlein, before he was really fixated on adult science fiction, he had been writing adult science fiction, but when he first started out, he actually started writing what were called juveniles, which were basically novels that were aimed at younger readers, and by younger I mean more like teenagers. And he did a whole lot of them, and Four Frontiers collects 4 of the stories, and the Outward Bound. This collects the last few of the juvenile stories, with a bit of a caveat. It collects Have Spacesuit Will Travel, and that was the last official juvenile. But it also collects Starship Troopers and Podkane of Mars. And what's interesting is that Starship Troopers is a very well-known book. A lot of you will know about it. And it was originally written as a juvenile, but apparently the publisher rejected because they thought it was a little more adult-oriented, and Heinlein just broke it off and made it its own thing. And the other story I mentioned, Podkane of Mars, apparently there's some debate about whether that counts as a juvenile or not, because apparently there were different versions of it that Heinlein did, and it's sometimes listed as a juvenile, other times it's not. But everyone agrees Have Spacesuit Will Travel is probably the last official juvenile. So I'm really interested in this. I had the whole collection to the rest of the Heinlein juveniles here in these collections. I think these were by the Science Fiction Book Club. Let's see. Yeah, it was the Science Fiction Book Club. So this is really cool. This one I'm probably not going to get to for a while because I was hoping to read the juveniles in order. I'm pretty sure I'll be starting with this one, Four Frontiers, because I think the first few, this is the one of the first few. Yeah, Rocket Ship Galileo, which was the first Heinlein juvenile, so I'll be reading this one real soon. This one's probably going to be on the back burner for a while, but yeah, I got it today, so I'm really excited. Finally, I now have all the official Heinlein juveniles, so I'll be very excited to read them. The final batch is an interesting batch because it is 4 books that I got from a Kickstarter campaign. This was, I want to read his name because I want to make sure I give him the right credit. This was by an editor by the name of Robert Greenberger. Robert Greenberger is the main editor of Thrilling Adventure Yarns. And this was a series that Greenberger started to release yearly. It's a book-length publication featuring different writers writing different pulp genres. I only learned about this series, I would say, in about probably around 2023, maybe 2024. I'm a little fuzzy, but I bought all... This story had gone on... Series had started... I believe this first one released in 2019. That was actually before I was really into pulp fiction, so I didn't really know about this for several years. And he recently did a campaign to fund Thrilling Adventure Yarns 2026. So I supported it. And then I said, well, you know what? They were giving an offer to sell you the rest of the other Thrilling Adventure Yarns books. And there were a couple of them that I were missing. So I looked through and said, okay, during this Kickstarter campaign for 2026, I said, let me get the rest of the ones featured. And I did. There were some I didn't get because I already had them. I bought them on Amazon, but there were a couple I didn't get. Ones I didn't get were the first one from 2019, this one from 2021, this one from 2022, and of course the 2026 one. I've read through a bit of the one from, I believe it was 2023, if that was the one. I thought they didn't do one in 2024. Let me check. When was this? Well, I don't remember, but whatever the whether it was the 2023 or 24 one, whenever it was, I read a little bit of that and I liked it. So, yeah, I'm real curious to check these out. I'm gonna read Thrilling Adventure Yarns here pretty quick because Pulp Fest is next month, and I would like to at least get a good start on things. I also kind of find this cover interesting. Like, who is this masked lady here? Could be an interesting story. It also says on the front here that this collection features a never-before-published story by Lester Dent, the creator of Doc Savage. So that's a pretty cool idea. And there's also a lot of authors in here I recognize. Will Murray, of course. Will Murray tends to be in a lot of pulp collections. Jim Beard, yeah, I've actually met Jim Beard. I've met Will Murray too. Never met Peter David, but he's in here. Let's see. Yeah, so, and even in this first issue, it has different genres. One mentions detective, one mentions swashbuckler, war, western, science fiction, romance, sword and sorcery. So, just spanning the whole gambit of pulp fiction genres here. You got the 2021 one with this big old snake on the front cover. You can't go wrong with a giant snake for your bonus. And again, it mentions again another never before seen story by Lester Dent. So, yeah, this is a pretty cool idea. And inside, they actually have some of these are original illustrations, but some of them are old sort of pulp illustrations that are taken from public domain pulp magazines. So that's a pretty cool idea for these collections. This one features like a witch attacking a woman with like a vine or something. I don't know, but on the 2026 one deals with some goofball hiding up in the rafters from all these hoods. So that's that looks interesting. So yeah. So yeah, all these books look pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to checking them out. Like I said, later this week, I'm going to be doing a video about another reading contest I'm going to be partaking in over the summer, and I'll also be doing I actually will do another haul video. Though this isn't a haul I did recently. This is one I did 2 or 3 months ago, and the books have just kind of been sitting around, and I'm like, well, they're all related to a certain theme, so I want to talk about them. Maybe I'll talk about them tomorrow or sometime this week. I'll give you a hint. They're related to a certain occult detective that was very famous on television. That's all the clues I'll give now, but that's who the books focus on. So with that clue given, I will close things off here, and I will see you guys again later this week. Bye.